The National Housing Enterprise (NHE), established under the Act Number 5 of 1993, as amended, carries the explicit mandate to provide and finance housing for Namibians. The Act explicitly empowers NHE not only to construct and sell houses, but to also to engage in mortgage lending, raise funds, accept deposits, and issue securities and all instruments required for a functioning housing finance bank. However, since its establishment, the state has failed dismally to implement this. In practice, this statutory mandate has not been operationalized, leaving Namibian citizens, particularly low-income middle earners, vulnerable to commercial banks and micro-lenders who charge prohibitive interest rates and pricing. This reality fuels the housing backlog, deepens financial exclusion, and contributes to social distress, with young Namibians increasingly citing financial crisis as a factor of suicides. In this regard, I ask the following. Why has the ministry not yet operationalized the housing finance provisions of the NHE Act, despite the urgent need of housing and the legal powers available under Section 3 and 4 of the Act? Number two, what concrete steps will the government undertake to enable the NHE to function as a fully fledged housing finance bank for low and middle income Namibians, and by when? I so submit.
Please table the question. I now recognize Honorable Amukoto.
Yes, notice of motion.
No questions.
Notice of motion.
Any other for questions? Honorable, oral. Written question. Oral. Okay. Honorable Kandoro.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Deputy Speaker.
My oral go to the Deputy Prime Minister, the Minister of Mines and Energy. It has been reported that in most of our towns, villages, electricity is going off, more especially when there is wind or is raining. While in some towns, even in Windhoek, Swakopmund, or Kahanja, Kirmaswap, they are not affected by any natural disruption when it comes to electricity. So I want to know, why is there disparity in terms of infrastructure? Some infrastructure can surpass wind, rain. Some it goes off. And when electricity goes off, telecommunication goes off, water supply goes off, sanitation, everything. And for the REDs, or either NAM Power to come and restore, it takes up to 2 days for them to come or to give electricity. My questions to you is, why is there such a disparity in terms of infrastructures when it comes to electricity in different towns and localities? I submit.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much, Honourable Deputy Speaker, Honourable Member. I hope you are not going to dispute with my question with my answer that Of course, as government, we need to improve on our infrastructure. There's no argument about that. And for me to say, I hope you are not going to dispute, is the fact that we all know in the past, the areas that are affected by electricity and the ones that are not affected. The ones that are not affected, due to colonialism, former white people used to stay in those areas, and the infrastructures were made much better than the ones in the rural areas where the majority of the Namibians people are living. But of course, we need to strengthen those infrastructures, and we are going to do that. That's what is caused the infrastructures in the towns such as Swakopmund and the other towns that you have mentioned. The reason why they are not affected is on that basis. Even the radios. When you go in the rural area, you open the radio, you will struggle to find. But in towns, the infrastructures were made in such a way that it benefited white communities area. I hope I have answered your questions. And to go further than that, the Namibian government have come up with projects such as BANS to improve on our electricity so that it can strengthen the electricity supply for our country, because the current infrastructures are very old. We have the power, the Windhoek, Van Eck, it's a very old thing. We have the Ruakana that produced electricity, and it used to transport electricity from where it is in Ruakana, passes all the villages, only to come and land in towns where the white people were living. It was made by the colonial apartheid regime in such a way. So we have to re-undo those things. And I will invite you, please, if you have any ideas, let's meet and let's join hands together and improve on our infrastructures for our people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Honorable Mpanda.
Yeah, thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. My question also goes to the Deputy Prime Minister. Deputy Prime Minister, this Parliament is blessed to have had you as the chairperson of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Economics. Yesterday, I got two reports. I got them this morning. Somebody was stopped coming through with his donkey. And the same day, at Verde Gate, somebody was stopped coming through with their dry meat. But on the 26th of June, 2025, there was a veterinary public notice number 20 of 2025 that actually speaks differently. I wonder, I'm asking specifically, you might be wondering why it's not going to the Minister of Agriculture, but the question is from this perspective. Having now being a second supervisor of the minister responsible for agriculture, and also having been the chairperson of the committee that produced a report, which report ought to have been implemented in three months. That's what we understand. The rules is that once the report is adopted by Parliament, it must be implemented. What is going on? What do you advise us? It's something that we must do. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mpanda, for the questions. Honorable Mpanda, you are right. All the reports that are approved by Parliament, they ought to be sent to various ministries for action, for implementations. Parliament is supposed to through the desk office, Mr. Nehoya's office, to write through Parliament, to write directive to the ministry to implement Parliament decisions. We are actually, if that is not happening, we are contravening the decision of Parliament, and it should not be allowed. As Honorable Mpanda has put it, being the second in charge in terms of supervising ministers and so on, I think the Office of the Prime Minister, we need to issue a directive to all ministries that they should implement all directives that comes from Parliament. Otherwise, we are making this house irrelevant. There is no use. We come here, we make decisions, and decisions need to be implemented by executive, and executive do not do that. We are devaluing the value of this house, and it shouldn't happen in our country. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I recognize Honorable Engari.
Oh, thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I wanted to pose a question to the Minister of Education, Innovation, Youth, Sport, Arts and Culture, Honorable Steenkamp. But I see her deputy is here. I don't know whether, Honorable Deputy Speaker, you would allow me to pose this very important and urgent honorable question.
No, I think, if I'm allowed to express my opinion, the minister is the substantive custodian so appointed by the president, and not even the deputy minister is allowed to act when the minister is not present. So if it's an urgent oral question, my view is to say to direct it to the responsible principal holder.
Can I just ask?
No, I thought you seek
Yes,
my opinion.
I'm seeking further clarity.
No, I think you thought my opinion and that's my opinion.
Speaker, just 1 second.
No, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Honorable Berta. The same situation. Then the answer is already given. Honorable Armas.
Notice of motion.
It's the same situation.
No.
That one is notice. No, let's first dispose of questions.
No, it's notice of motion.
Okay. It's fine. I said, we are at questions. We are done with written questions. It was oral questions. The two, done. Oh, if we are done, you notify. We are now notices of motions. Where is the question? Okay, Honorable April.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. My question may probably sound frivolous, but it's important for me. I want to understand whether this question should go to the Prime Minister, I don't know yet, but it's more to do with what we are doing every time we start the Parliament here. And that is about the prayer. My question is, why should we pray the same prayer every day? Why can't we have that prayer refreshed? Because we've got the bishop even in this house, so that the Lord can see that we are realigning and aligning based on the conditions that we're experiencing every day. I so submit. I don't know who the question is to, but that's my question.
No, I think that was a comment rather than a question, because the question does not have an owner. You can only answer a question when it has an owner, isn't it? Then put it to me, and the rules say you can't put a question to the speaker. Okay. Honorable Jonas.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members. I move without notice in terms...
Questions?
Questions, no.
Okay.
It's notice.
Dangi.
Thank you.
But on a different note, on the prayer, it's something I was pondering on. It's just that we must accept our differences. In my acceptance speech, I say there are others of a different cluster. Dr. Mubita. So how do we accommodate that? Therefore, it becomes just a practice that only one person read. But ordinarily, it makes no harm to recite only the particular prayer, so that other prayers don't become 10 minutes and others 2 minutes. Yeah, that's why I'm saying you are a pastor, but I'm just saying it's to accommodate all the others who are not all of us are Christians. That's why some say, so help me God, and others say, I affirm. Yeah. Okay. Dangi. Notices of motions. Honorable Armas.
Honorable Deputy Speaker. I hereby give a notice that on Wednesday, the 3rd of October, I shall move to debate on the urgent need for government to introduce a policy requiring all local authority and the municipality to build affordable youth accommodation or flats. Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members, many of our young people move from one town to another in search of job and better opportunity. When they arrive in these new places, they often struggle to find affordable and decent accommodation. This forces many into shacks, overcrowded rooms, or into living conditions that make it difficult to settle, to study, or to work with decency. It is against this background that I move to this August House, debate and resolve that government through the Minister of Urban and Rural Development, working in hand in hand with municipality and local authority, introduce a clear policy framework for affordable youth housing in line with the responsibility already provided for under the Local Authority Act, Sections 30, subsection 1, Roman A. This should include the building rental flat or hostel for young job seeker, working with the private sector for support and ensuring that renting remains fair and affordable. I so move.
Thank you. Please table the motion. Honorable Shitana.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I must start with a quote that says, "A male horse doesn't fear its own death. It fears the female death in the jungle. A female horse doesn't fear its own death. It fears the death of the male horse in the jungle." Namibia is a nation blessed with rich linguistic diversity, where each indigenous language carries the heritage, identity, and wisdom of our people. Yet in this digital age, those languages face a danger of marginalization as a global platform, often only to focus on a dominant world language, leaving our cultural and treasure excluded from mainstream technology. If our language such as Rukwangali, Chinyemba, Koekoehop, Silozi, Ochiherelo, Khoisan, and all others are not preserved and integrated into the digital space, future generations risk losing direct access to their heritage. Preserving and digitizing our language is therefore not merely an act of culture pride, but it's a strategy to step forward, ensuring linguistic justice, cultural sovereignty, and intergenerational continuity. Against this background, I hereby give notice that Tuesday, 8 October 2025, I shall move that the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, Innovation, Youth, Sport and Culture, establish a national task force dedicated to translation and the integration of our indigenous language into global digital platform, including Google and the related technology. I further move that the said ministry be directed to establish an operational task force with agents and a full participation from our community, academia, and cultural custodian. I so move.
Thank you. Please table the report. I now recognize Honorable Jonas.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I move without notice in terms of Rule 124G of the Standing Rules and Order to withdraw the proxy mandate given to me yesterday by Honorable Dr. Upindi, but I will do the motivation on the motion against the economic, financial, and commercial blockade imposed on Cuba by the United States of America at the appropriate time. I so move, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. Please table the motion. We can debate. Thank you, Honorable Engari.
Speaker, I'm seeking clarity. The Honorable Alpindi yesterday delegated a proxy, which is Honorable Jonas. Can the said member actually withdraw the designation, or is it the member that has moved or in fact delegated those powers to the member that has just given up those powers? It doesn't make sense that Honorable Opindi moved a motion to appoint Honorable Jonas as a proxy, and now Honorable Jonas comes back and says he's withdrawing that very delegated powers. I don't think that is the appropriate manner in which that is done. Thank you.
Okay. Now, in instances where the rules are silent, but let me read the proxy. Proxy means a written authority given by one member to another to vote on his or her behalf on a specific matter. Now, we all agree the matter is not to be voted. There is the intention of the member to delegate that function, but he uses a different proposition in the rules. Because the proxy, in terms of literal interpretation, is to vote, and it's not to motivate. Therefore, that's why the member brings now an amendment after the normality to indicate, to say, I'm correct, I can't move a proxy as a proxy, but I move to say I will motivate so that the proxy is no longer applicable. Because the proxy, as tabled yesterday, is no longer applicable. Now, in instance, that's the first one, what we agree, that what happened yesterday was the intention of the member to delegate for the motivation. But what is to take place is motivation and not voting. And the rules are saying you can only proxy a member for voting, isn't it? So we agree. Now, yeah, how do we correct it? One way is to say the member who moved, one way is to say the member who accepted. For me, they are at the same level. The one who has delegated the function, the other one accepted. In the application of that, the presiding officer erred. They say must always, the one in charge takes the blame. So I have erred, slipped on duty, but therefore that's why I said the way to correct it is two ways. Either the member who delegated or the member who was given that proximity. Because for me, I'm saying they are at the same level. And therefore, that's why the member is correcting to say the proxy does not apply anymore. I will just motivate, invoking another rule. So then I will take the member to rule number 8, subclause 1, which I will also root entirely, where a statute, these standing rules, or a sessional order or convention or practice of the House do not provide for a matter, the Speaker or the Chairperson of the Whole House Committee may issue a ruling to determine the matter or make reference to the rules, forms, convention, and practice of other Commonwealth parliamentarians insofar as the rules, forms, convention, and practice can be applied to the proceedings of the Assembly. 2 says, in relation to a ruling made in 1, framed by the Speaker or Chairperson of the Whole House Committee under Sub-Rule 1 remains in force until it's set aside by the House based on the recommendation of the Committee on Standing Rules, Orders and Internal Arrangement. So what this rule says, the Speaker is then mandated to make a ruling in terms of that. If there is a dispute, we subject that decision of the presiding officer to the standing rules to pronounce itself and bring a substantive matter back to the House. Is it fine? Dangi. Okay. So, thank you very much for that consideration. Yes, Honorable.
So we're together there, Deputy Speaker. The only issue I have is that there are two aspects. I don't have a problem with how you intend to deal with the lacuna. But what we need to deal with that the member is saying she is withdrawing the proxy. She withdraws the proxy. The other aspect, you have already dealt with it in terms of whatever she wants to do, whether she wants to motivate and all those other things is another. But this assembly is now being told, it's on the table that she's withdrawing a proxy. So you are delegated a function to go and perform. Do you go to another platform and you say, I withdraw the mandate that I've been given? That is very problem. The second part, you have dealt with it. We can proceed. The first part is a problem. I don't understand how can, if maybe it's a mistake and then let's just deal with that and then we proceed in the direction that you have ruled.
Okay, I think it's a question for me for semantics. Okay.
I think the onus is on the mover or the person who gave the proxy to withdraw, not the one who was given the proxy, because there is no provision that says you must either accept or decline the proxy, unless it's provided somewhere and when you should do that. But in terms of what is at stake, that part of refusing the proxy part should have been left as it is, and then the activities that need to be attended to, she takes responsibilities as a new mover of that particular motion or whatever, without her involving in the assignment that she is not entitled to do that by the rules of the House. I submit.
Thank you. Okay, you are off. Honorable members, I have said. Okay, Honorable Dingara.
Thank you very much. I listened to your explanation, the first explanation, that the one which was submitted by Honorable Toby was not in line with the law. Therefore, it was not valid. It cannot be withdrawn. It is self-withdrawn because it is not a valid thing.
Okay. Now, yes, I agree, but and maybe it's not. It's something. You see, what was the intention of the member? The intention of the member was to pass the responsibility that is to him to the next person. That was the intention of the member. Now, in adjudicating that proposition, you should not just focus on the literal definition of the word, but what the member has cited is the proxy. And in terms of our rules, proxy is to vote explicitly. But you don't forget that the member's intention was to pass this responsibility that is allocated to him to the next person. So in view of that, you can't just disagree with, because there was intention, is what in legal terms, the lawyers are here. There is the law, there is the intention of the law. That's why, if I may, I've already ruled, but just to expatriate for better understanding. When you make an accident, you have been charged with committing murder. After evaluation, they see that it's culpable homicide. You were not just guilty. But if there was negligence on the driver for the same offense, you therefore is liable for loss of life, you are liable for murder. But in the same instance for loss of life, you are liable for culpable homicide. So the circumstances pertaining to that, circumstances cannot just be excluded without arriving at a uniform conclusion and decision. So on that basis, I am of the opinion that the honorable member was having intention to delegate that function, and we take cognizance of that. Thank you very much. I have ruled, my brothers, in terms of the ruling. In terms of the ruling, I've made my ruling. If the ruling is questioned, provision 2 says, a ruling framed by the Speaker or Chairperson of the Whole House Committee under subclause 1 remains in force until set aside by the House based on the recommendation of the Standing Committee on Standing Rules and Orders in Internal Arrangement. We will err in I will err, but that error subjected to the standing rules at the next meeting. Thank you very much. Okay. Message from Head of State. Ministerial statement, which now brings us to the order paper. I have passed, my sister. Order paper. I've passed. There is also a day tomorrow. There is also, these are standard things. Yeah. Honorable Jonas. Honorable Jonas, you want to, no, the secretary will read the first order of the day. Okay, thank you, sorry. Notice of motion is the one of Honorable Jonas. Does Honorable Jonas move the motion? You just wait.
Yes, Honorable Deputy Speaker, I move the motion as amended.
Okay, who seconds the motion? Any objection? Any objection? Okay.
Speaker, Honorable Jonas is not the mover of this motion. And this is why we were explaining earlier on. The powers to become a proxy is not to motivate a motion that is moved by somebody else. It is strictly to vote. And this is exactly what you explained to us just a couple of seconds ago. And this is what we're trying to explain, to say that there is no way you can be a proxy and come and motivate someone else's motion in the House.
No.
It is only strictly limited to voting when voting takes place in the House. Speaker.
Okay. Honorable members will disagree and agree. And I think I'm just repeating myself. In the application, I might err. You are indicating that I've erred in that ruling. That's your view. Now the rule says, once the Speaker has framed the ruling remains in force. If you object, you go to standing rules and you come back. Otherwise, then we are selectively applying the rule. And I don't dismiss that I could have erred in terms of this. All I'm saying is, when I apply my mind, I'm saying I'm looking at the intention of the mover. Had I corrected that mover yesterday, that mover was going to correct that motion. But the intention of the member was not to give that member to vote, was to motivate. Even if you read his white paper, was to say to motivate. That's why I say I err. But now I'm allowing the member in the error. Yeah, I'm saying we have corrected because the member has moved. Huh? Okay. Okay. Now, no, just wait. Just wait. Honorable members, I don't know now what is it. You see, let me first go and check what is the recording of what Honorable Toby has said. And then that will serve the basis of our engagement going forward. Okay, just maybe 10 minutes. I just want to consult the record.
We have it in black and white also. Let's look for it.
Yeah. of September 2025, in line with Rule 120, Subclause 1 and 2, I, Dr. Toby Opindi, in my capacity as elected member, appoints the Honorable Justina Jonas, a member of Parliament, to be my proxy as defined there, of including the power to vote and/or present motions on my behalf. This is the Pepatu. So that stands and/or to vote and/or to present motions on my behalf. So we can justifiably conclude that the intention of the member was to pass that responsibility for her to motivate. Yeah, and/or. So it's included, and that is why I'm saying when you intend, you don't necessarily just overlook, you look at the intention of the mover. And in terms of my understanding, the intention of the mover was to pass the responsibility of motivating to Honorable Justina Jonas. However, in terms of our rules, proxy is only given to vote. So we erred in adding the motion part into a provision that only talks about vote. But his intention was to pass the responsibility of motivating to Honorable Justina Jonas. Okay. I thought we break that we can get this, and then we make a ruling, isn't it? Just small. Okay. Now, Honorable Swartboy, Honorable Gandorondu, Honorable. Come again? Oh, this one is red, that one is flicky. I'm saying this one is red, so it gets preference. Okay. Oh, you mean after Honorable Swartboy, it's you? Okay. No, he was saying it's... Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
No, Honorable Deputy Speaker, you know how much we appreciate the way you are leading the House. I'm not taking anything away. And I'm not so sure whether today I'll be very helpful to you. You are trying your very best. But the moment that the Honorable Toby Opindi presented the motion, there arose a rebuttable presumption that the person he's delegating had accepted that delegation. And it stood as a rebuttable presumption. When today she came back, she smashed that rebuttable presumption and retreated and in essence collapsed fundamentally the delegation itself. Because the onus was on her not to retreat from what was given. Because we presumed as a House, yes, she was not supposed to do it. We presumed as a House that the two of them consulted and that there was animus contrahendi. In other words, a meeting of the minds between him and her. Unfortunately, that animus contrahendi seems not to exist. And therefore, when that delegation ceases to exist, if he were here, he would then have to delegate another person, but he's clearly not here. So since there is no meeting of the minds, whatever was tabled essentially becomes invalid ab initio. From the very beginning, it becomes invalid. And therefore, unfortunately, Honorable Deputy Speaker, as you're also conceding, perhaps you add, and it's okay. It takes a big person to say they've add. We can't have her to motivate a motion of a person with whose mind she is not at idem. That's the problem. Their minds are not meeting. How can she now be the one to motivate a motion of a member with whose mind she is not one? And this is the only thing I'm giving. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I stand here to concur with Honorable Swartboy. I don't want to repeat. I just concur with him.
Thank you. Honorable Kandoro.
Yeah. On addition to that, one will want to know, like on the author's paper, it's a notice of a motion by Honorable Jonas, but she's not the one who gave the notice of motion. And
allow order, please.
Order, please. So it must be corrected. And what I want to see and to know also is the delegation in ruling when it comes to the motion, that is there that function within the rule? Can I delegate somebody else to move a motion on my behalf or motivate the motion on my behalf? It must be very clear, not subjected to the presiding officer's discretion. If it is not there, then we must not apply it at all. I submit.
No, Honorable Lucato. I will take it, just follow the line.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members. I don't want to talk to say what others have said. So I have consulted my legal principles. So it tells me that the rules and the legal procedures, it tells me that when someone is being delegated, that person, when he or she cannot have mandate to withdraw or to appoint him or herself. So, Honorable Jonasi was delegated by someone who was supposed to present this motion. So now, since he was delegated, who have appointed him, appointed her now, so that he can carry on to move the motion, because he was delegated, and the same person who have delegated her, he is the same person who should again delegate her again after withdrawal. So now he have withdrawn the motion, so which means that now according it cannot let me say hold water in this for this platform. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. I so submit.
Honorable Erunga.
Thank you, Honorable. We have learned apparently from the Prof. Okay, thank you very much. I was waiting for the attention of the Deputy Speaker. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the Honorable Member withdrew the question of being a proxy because it is unprocedural, as we have all agreed. And herself being a member of Parliament has got the right to move a motion. And earlier she moved a motion without notice. And this is where we are. She is doing it in her own right as a member of Parliament. She is not moving that one of Dr. Aupindi. This is where I am. That is my argument, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Thank you.
Okay. I think we must go somewhere, honorable members. I will give, okay, I have now Honorable Theophilus Kambala, Honorable Hengari, and Honorable Narusip, in that order. I think the mover must just withdraw because he's self-conflicted.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
I have Honorable Tepeles Kambala, and so there is a comma, a comma is not spoken.
Never in a million years.
Okay, please.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. First, I must appreciate, Honorable Deputy Speaker, you trying to navigate this conundrum. I think at many times we have indicated that the rules are inadequate in some instances. And I appreciate you trying to maneuver in a way to accommodate where possibly errors might have occurred and where corrections need to be made. So, Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, I believe you have indicated the journey in terms of how we got here. And you supported your ruling as per Rule 8, speaking about circumstances not provided for in these rules. And in this rule, circumstances not provided for are some of the issues we are discussing now, where the honorable member withdrew her proxy to vote and not necessarily the proxy to motivate. And that is a circumstance that is not provided for in the rules. We cannot say just because it's not in the rules, somebody cannot motivate for me. If I'm in a hospital bed, if I'm incapacitated for the day to motivate my motion, and the Speaker rules it so, it's in his discretion to do so. If there is a problem, no, you cannot decide for me as a mover. Hence, as a person who tabled and gave a notice for the motion, decided. And therefore, as per your ruling, Honorable Deputy Speaker, if we start debating the rulings of the Deputy Speaker, we will not make progress. That is why there has been put a rule in our standing rules and orders to remedify that, so that if there's anybody who is against your ruling, we go to standing rules and order, just like in a normal judicial court of law. If in the lower courts a decision has been made and I'm unhappy with it, I petition the same court or I go to a higher court. The Standing Rules and Orders Committee is there to rectify or remedy the errors the presiding officer would have made. So I plead with you, Deputy Speaker, that you have made a ruling. Whether I agree with it or not, I'm bound by it as a member of Parliament, having elected you as a presiding officer, so that we actually proceed with the proceedings of the day and allow the honourable member to motivate this motion as it is put on the order paper, which is a guidance of this House. I so submit, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Okay. Honourable Kambala.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I just have just looking for clarity. Deputy Speaker, the order of day normally it lapses. So if programs of yesterday were not concluded, then they take precedence the following day. Now, generally, when we do notice of motions, if I do a notice of motion today, ordinarily it will come back once we reach the items in terms of the list. But here it seems that I don't use the word conniving, but it looks like it, that the desk office, but I want to ask them whether the desk office and the Deputy Speaker had predetermined this sitting, because the definition that you sought, but it's not supported in terms of Rule 138. So, Speaker, can you please just explain to us why is that this motion or notice of motion that was made by Toby, by Honorable Toby, it's first on the order paper, while there were issues on the resumption of debate on the lending institutions by Honorable Shifeta that are supposed to take precedence today, and so forth. So please explain us why that change has been made and what rule makes it provision for that to take place.
Okay. Yeah, Honorable, I will answer that one. But I recognize Honorable, this is getting long. But Honorable, I will finish and answer. But in the meantime, before I answer, just take the book and go to 119, 1-2. Okay. Yeah, Honorable Ngaruse.
Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Sorry.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members of this august House, I'm not rising to quote any rule of the standing orders and procedures. I am simply rising to appeal on us as members of this House indulgence in terms of we have since established what the intention of the mover of the motion was. And that is something that we have established now. Now, in terms of the magnanimity within us all, because I believe that's why we are here, to be able to apply reason and look at what was the intention of the mover. We have established it at the risk of repeating myself. We have also reconciled ourselves with the very praiseworthy admission of our presiding officer that he erred, and then it's human to err. We all err at one stage in our lives. Now, the same probably needs to apply to Honorable Jonas, because of probably not having received applicable advice, what she needed to do in terms of us to move and continue with the activities of the day. She did what she has done. Now, Honorable Speaker, I am simply appealing to the magnanimity that I believe we all have for us to condone the error in order to enable us to continue with what we must do. That's my appeal.
Thank you. Honorable Ngari. Here.
Speaker, I want to appeal to the conscience of the senior members in this House with regard to how we are doing things today and the mistake that we are about to make. It is not a secret that it's a convention of this House that if I, as Ina Hengari, moves a motion or gives notice for a motion to be motivated, whether it was yesterday, to be motivated today, if I'm not here by the time the presiding officer calls for my name, that motion either stands over or it lapses. It's common practice for this House. Even in the 7th Parliament, this is what we were doing. So I understand your reference to Rule 8, which speaks to circumstances not provided for. But these very rules also speak about conventions, parliamentary conventions and parliamentary practice. And the practice of this House has been that if I, as a mover of a motion, am not present in the House, there is absolutely no way that that responsibility is transferred to a colleague of mine from the PDM, or transferred to a colleague of mine from the IPC, or transferred to a colleague of mine from the AR. It has never happened. It is not a practice of this House. And really, I also want to refer you, Honourable Speaker, to Rule 27 of the Rule Book. Rule 27, Sub-Rule 2, which says, under the responsibilities of the Speaker. Sub-Rule 1 C says, ensure the consistent and strict observance of the standing rules, sessional orders, and other applicable legal provisions. But sub-rule 2 specifically says, the Speaker must act fairly and impartially and apply the standing rules with due regard to ensuring the participation of all members in a manner consistent with democracy. I don't think, Honorable Speaker, today, in as much as, and I think it's something that is commendable, and we all agree that it's commendable that the presiding officer has really pointed out that he has erred in his application or in his allowance of Honorable Toby to transfer some powers, imaginary powers, to Honorable Jonas to come and motivate a motion in this House. We agree with that. But there's a second mistake that also happened today. There's a second error that happened today, and that was with Honorable Jonas withdrawing those powers, because in fact, when Honorable Aupindi gave notice, it was actually to vote and or motivate. So you can't choose either one, because those powers, they were binded and married when they were handed over. That is why it says and or, to motivate and or vote. So there was also a second error this afternoon that occurred, and I don't think that we must just continue condoning errors as members of this House. She herself has given up those powers, or those delegated powers by Honorable Toby, and I think as members of this House, it is only the responsible thing to do that we continue to other items on the order paper, and perhaps come back to this very important debate that I also want to contribute to. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable Jonas, what?
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. For the sake of progress, in terms of Rule 126.1, I would like to withdraw this motion as I stated earlier. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Resumption. The Secretary will now read the second order of the day. The first order.
Next page.
Resumption of debate on whether existing laws are truly protecting Namibians from exploitation by lending institutions and informal money lenders.
Come again. Yeah, case is closed. The motion is withdrawn. Seen it? The subject case is closed, honorable members. We had the resumption when we adjourned yesterday. It was a motion by Honorable Engari. However, Honorable Shifeta postponed, and now I give him the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Secretary.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, let me thank the mover of this motion. Since I came in this Parliament, almost every year or second year, similar motions are brought here, and I think we have made some progress. Some laws were passed here, some laws were repealed. I recall the Banking Institution Act, I think it was repealed 2 times. We have now a Banking Institutions Act which is 2023. And again, as a result of that, to effect changes to ensure that borrowers are protected. Also, the Micro Lending Act of 2018 was passed. It's a result of those motions that were brought here. But I want to also state that although we have NAMFISA, the NAMFISA, the Act, which is a Namibia Financial Institutions Supervisory Authority Act, which then regulate and supervise these micro-lenders. Apart from micro-lenders, they are also payday lenders. And the most notorious ones are payday lenders who are not registered. And there are thousands. There are more than those that are registered. And it's very difficult for Banking Institution Act to come in and regulate that, even for NAMFISA to supervise that, because they are not registered. And these are the next payday. I borrow you 1,000. You pay me when you get your money. You pay 1,300 or 1,400. Depends on the agreement. And because that agreement is outside the supervisory authority, it's prohibited practice. No one could notice that this is a practice. And I know that it happens, many civil servants, I can recall even directors, they go and borrow money from those small enterprises, entrepreneurs, especially those that are selling kafana. I know some of them. Directors, they go and borrow money there, and they pay after that. And these are not registered payday lenders. They pay after every month. Now, that part is very difficult to supervise because there are some practice still going on. Although if you look at the Micro-Renting Act of 2018, it prohibits certain practices. You remember that those years, sometime before that, a lender has to retain a card, ATM card, to retain ID of a borrower, even a PIN number, a PIN code of a borrower, and even using many different unauthorized debt collections. But this is now prohibited according to in terms of the Micro-Renting Act. But it's still being practiced. At school especially, I know teachers here know, they can even attest to that it is a practice at schools. That some businessmen around the area, or even some teachers, there are those that are doing business like that. Now, what we need to do, the most important part, what we need to do, and I want to leave that to you, to this house, is to look at how to educate members. Borrowing money for consumption is nothing than just burdening yourself. Borrow money for something, for investment, buying asset, growing your asset, it's better. But also some people borrow money for gambling, and that's a very addiction part of it. Gambling, you borrow money to go and gamble. When the money is finished, you come back again. And that also leads to suicidal act. I see that my time is over. I leave it.
Thank you, Honorable Ngarusek.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I am rising to support the motion by Honorable Henkari, and I will probably, if the time allows, go a little bit back, because the symptoms that we are trying to deal with has a root cause. And the root cause in the school of thought that I subscribe to started with the advent of colonialism. It continued after 1948, when the Nationalist Party came to power in South Africa. Now, if you care to try to remember, everything that the Nationalist Party was doing was deliberately done to uplift the Aram Blankets. That's a term that they were using. I'm not mentioning it because I want to sound
racist.
A little. No, that's not my term. Now, and then everything that they did in terms of whether it was access to land, whether it was opening up institutions where they were able to place the ones that they regarded as not being able to do things for themselves in their own right. You look at the post offices, the postkantoor, and so many institutions that they have created. False gas, trust bank. Now, if we want to deal with that phenomena by applying like we have been doing, me included, for the past 35 years, and apply cosmetic remedies for it, our people will continue to suffer. I also subscribe to the thought of, should I mention you, Professor? We must transform. We must transform and not apply cosmetic. The ones who started with their deliberate attempts to establish themselves, we know they have established themselves, they are actually laughing at us because they realize that we have a very apologetic approach to what we want to address. Is it NIF? This something that was pulled out from this house. When the ones that are in charge, in control of the economic destiny of this nation. Not that we want that, but the past that we come from put them in that advantageous position. When they realize that this thing coming is going to threaten our privileged position that continue to perpetuate itself, we somehow were not very bold to continue with that. Now my point, my argument, Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, is that we must be bold, we must do things that, notwithstanding what we have done for our people, must bring meaningful changes in the lives of our people. When they were in charge, they were keeping our ancestors and our people because of the influx control in their respective areas that they have created. They were in towns, they put up decent houses for their people. Almost in all the towns, you see those BMW houses. When the influx control, because of independence, came to an end, our people come to urban areas. Where are they today? That's my submission.
Thank you very much. Honorable Ashipara.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I would like to appreciate all honorable members who contributed to this motion yesterday, but I want to start mine by approaching it from the angle of Article 16, Chapter 3 in the Namibian Constitution. I was just doing some research to come and contribute, and I was just made aware that when it comes to borrowers, the loan or your savings or your wages are treated as properties, right to properties, just like your house. Now I'll just read these few things before I come to my main contribution. Noting that Article 16 of the Constitution protects the property rights of all citizens, including the wages and the savings of borrowers, which cannot be taken without due legal processes. Also recognizing that lenders equally hold a property right in the repayment of loans enforceable through lawful and fair agreements, consistent with banking and micro lending regulations. Concerned that exploitative interest rates, arbitrary deductions, and lawful practices undermine both borrower protection and lender credibility, thereby distorting the intent of Article 16. So, therefore, I recommend that when referring this motion to the relevant committee, we should look into the strengthening of the regulations that are allowing those high deductions or high interest. So the other thing is to say, to prevent this, we should also relook our policies and our laws that allows this. This is what Honorable Wise was trying to tell us, that no, there are loopholes. These loopholes are giving us real problems. Even Tenya also spoke of NAMFISA, the oversight. All these things are happening under our nose. Now, I'll just cut it short, honorable members, honorable speakers. I checked on the referenda. I will read this thing very fast. On the referenda possibilities, in theory, Namibia allow referenda Article 63(2)(f). However, since Article 31 prohibits any amendment or repeal of Chapter 3, even if a referendum were held, the result would be unconstitutional and invalid. This model is taken from Germany, as I was just finding out. The same Germany that have abused this article here through the genocide, and also most of them have got stolen properties. And now we have their model here. So my main question is this: is it really democratic to unwillingly uphold an article that denies one or stop you to amend or make laws that save you or save the constituency that you represent? So this is one. Now I want to come to what Honorable Charles Mobita said. We need fearless, revolutionary, legal minds to move around these things and advise this House, or to have a very strong legal department in this House, so that we will be able to completely or full decolonize. Otherwise, the economic freedom will not be realized with this, through this House, with this Article 16. Thank you.
Thank you. I now recognize Honorable Lizazi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I have listened attentively to all the speakers, and I agree with them. The main cause why many of us find ourselves in this predicament. Sometimes we are under pressure, and we want to maybe take our children to school. We want to help family members, because in Africa I am a person because of another person. Ubuntu principle. So we find ourselves under pressure, and then we go to the money lenders. Some of us, we do it because we are addicted to gambling and other things, but mostly we do these things for the good cause. Some of us were forced to resign because of this predicament. You find yourself in a situation where you are supposed to resign, and I remember when I was paying the things I was owing in the bank, the econ maybe was at -15, but I had sweat on the face. Because you see the regulatory bodies such as NAMFISA and other bodies that are supposed to regulate the lending and the borrowing of money, they are not doing their job. These are the loopholes that the honorable member was talking about there that need to be closed in our laws. Even the lenders themselves have seen these loopholes, because how can they agree to give me 3 loans, 4 loans? We have seen a situation whereby when a government gives a 5% salary increment, the only place that you find the long queues is the lenders, not the bank. It's because our people are under pressure. They go there and they get more loans on top of other loans. And sometimes they even send the messages that you qualify for a loan. You qualify for this much, and you are in a problem. You were not in that, you were not thinking of going to the lenders, but once you receive this message, you go ahead and you want to help your child to go to school. As a father, my child will look at me and say, I am a failure. So I want my son to go to school. So you find yourself in that predicament. But then my encouragement in this matter is to make sure that it's to encourage the bodies that are supposed to regulate. Because when you take a loan, you find that you are also asked to insure your loan. But when, for example, you lose your job, that loan is supposed to be covered by the insurance company or the insurance that you were paying. But the lenders will still follow you again when you get another job. What happened to the money? The money for the insurance? Where did the insurance go? Did the insurance cover your debt, or did the insurance did not cover the debt? So all that information is not given to the consumers. So the lenders are keeping that information to themselves so that they can benefit twice from the same person. So the regulatory bodies really need to see to it that they enforce and they are on task so that they can save people and the nation at large. Thank you.
Honorable Ishono.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Good afternoon once again. This is getting very interesting, and I feel I should also take part in this discussion. Honorable Speaker, we are the lawmakers. Why don't we pass the law that the Bank of Namibia reduce? I want your undivided attention. I'm waiting for her to finish. No, I don't have much to say. Thank you once again that I have your undivided attention. That was I was waiting for. Why don't we pass the law that the Bank of Namibia reduce the interest rate? Because now we understand the problem. One of the problems is the interest rate at 30%, and all the lenders now they are not even saying I can lend you money at 20%, so come to me because others are charging 30, so I'm better than others. Everybody seems now to be going to the top, to the highest, that is 30%. Why don't we say Bank of Namibia reduce the interest rate to 20, so that there will be money left in the pockets of our people? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Honorable Shitana.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. We believe in doing things to be done. So I think many people have spoken, so we must just act. We are not waiting for anyone. It is us. We all see how people are suffering, and also sometimes I'm not okay with how we discuss our technical way of getting away with some of these things that are not okay in our society. Because from the day the motion was tabled, so those people are already planning how they are going to deal with us, because we deal with it in an open card. So the motion must go to the committee straight, then we finish the story. I submit.
Thank you. Any further discussion? We finish the story. Does Honorable Lengari wish to reply? I think you have 2 minutes, ne?
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I think members have spoken and they've said enough. I don't think there's anything more to add. I'm just looking for a note. Seems I left it, but it's fine. Yes, Honorable Speaker, when I tabled this motion, as part of my motivation, I indicated that we cannot legislate dignity, but we can dismantle the structures that erode dignity. And I think all the members really, in sharing their experiences, knowledge and expertise, and even those stories that are told in our communities, have done justice to this motion in the debate, and also in trying to really navigate what we can do as a parliament, as an august house of this republic. So I think I want to thank all the members for contributing. I also recognize that it's one of the most difficult tasks is to unite politicians and make them agree on something. And I know that it's an insurmountable task, but I think we should all be proud of ourselves that we actually came together to discuss an issue that affects us all, because surely there must be something wrong if even us as members of parliament are struggling to gain access to financing and are hearing most of these issues from our loved ones. So I just want to thank the members for contributing, and I look forward to also being involved in the process. I know I'm not a member of the Committee on Economics, but the chairperson is a dear brother of mine, and so I'm sure that consultations will also take place. So thank you very much to all the members, and thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Thank you.
I now put the question that the motion be referred to a Parliamentary Standing Committee of Economics for further investigation and report back to this House. Any objection? Agreed to. Thank you. The Secretary will now read the second order of the day.
Resumption of debate to critically investigate the current state of health training institutions in Namibia, with a specific focus on the rapid mushrooming of such institutions across the country.
When the Assembly adjourned on Tuesday, the 17th of June 2025, the question before the Assembly was a motion by Honorable Mongo that the motion be referred to a Parliamentary Study Committee for investigation and report back. However, Honorable Aikola adjourned the debate and she now has the floor.
Thank you, Deputy Honorable Speaker. Yes, Deputy Speaker, thank you. I rise to contribute to the motion regarding uncontrolled proliferation of nursing schools and health training centers in Namibia, as moved by Honorable Winnie Mongo, my sister. So health professions education, along with their regulations, are pivotal to achieving universal health coverage in Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, contributing significantly to health outcomes and public trust in our country's healthcare workforce. The proliferation of health profession schools without adequate quality control, the critical shortage and maldistribution of skilled health professionals, and the absence of a comprehensive regulatory framework have been significant challenges facing our country's healthcare system. The motion emphasized the need for accreditation of health professions schools, capacity building of health professions teaching staff, and collaboration among stakeholders to improve healthcare workforce development and regulation. Honorable members, the enactment of the Health Profession Act in 2024, which was passed in Parliament last year, in concert with other applicable legislation, marks a step towards addressing most, if not all, these issues. To be more specific, Section 29 of the said Act speaks of compliance with standards of education. Under this section, the Health Profession Council may, by written notice to an educational institution approved for registration, require the educational institution to furnish the council within 30 days after the receipt of that notice with A, evidence of compliance with the prescribed standard of education required of students, B, evidence of compliance with the courses of education, training and examination or assessment methodologies approved by the council before a qualification is granted, C, results of the examinations conducted by the educational institution and any other particulars relating to the education offered by educational institution. D, evidence of compliance with the admission requirements of students for admission to the course or field of study, E, evidence of education and examination provided to the student before a qualification may be granted to that student. And F, additional particulars relating to a qualification that may be obtained at the educational institution, including the transcript or curriculum pertaining to the qualification for purpose of this Act, among other things. Honorable Deputy Speaker, to ensure full compliance in all matters relating to the standard of education, the regulator, Health Professional Council, may in writing appoint a person, A, to assess, investigate, and inspect whether an educational institution is complying with this section, prescribed conditions and requirements, and B, to report to the Council on the finding of the assessment, investigation, and inspection conducted within the period and in a manner determined by the Council and specified in the letter of appointment. The law is in place, it just needs to be implemented. Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members, the Health Professions Act 2024 is a principal regulatory framework as it repeals all other laws in whole. such as Social Work and Psychology Act 2004, Social Work and Psychology 2018, Allied Health Profession Act 2004, Nursing Act 2004, Amendment, Pharmacy Act 2004, and its 2018 amendment. I therefore unreservedly call for the full implementation of the Health Profession Act of 2024, along with its regulation. This will ensure that issues raised in this motion will be sufficiently addressed. The consequences of nursing school and health training institutions placing profit making above the quality of our healthcare standard have become too dangerous to ignore. Our health system cannot function without public trust, because when disasters strike, we have learned the hard way during COVID pandemic. It's not profit measure that will save us, it is health system we have invested in. Honorable members, if we continue down this path, treating nursing schools or health training institutions.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Brinkman.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I rise today to support the motion raised by Honorable Mongu regarding the unchecked mushrooming of nursing training institutions across Namibia, some of which are not registered with the Nursing Council and are operating without qualified staff. This situation is not only unacceptable, it is a national crisis. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I feel compelled to speak not only as the Shadow Minister of Health, but also as someone who lived through the very system we are debating today. I too was a student at a certain health institution in Namibia, one that was, to our shock and dismay, not registered with the Nursing Council. What was supposed to be a 2-year course turned into 4 long and uncertain years. And I'm not alone. There are hundreds, if not thousands of others facing the same situation. Institutions taking in students without proper registration, promising diplomas that may never be recognized, producing graduates who cannot be absorbed into the job market because our healthcare system simply does not have the capacity. Honorable Deputy Speaker, in Namibia, we have the relevant authorities in as far as training institutions are concerned. The Health Professional Councils of Namibia, Namibian Qualifications Authority, which are responsible for accreditations and registration of health institutions, which are ensuring that these institutions meet the required standards for nursing, education and training. Further, to ensure that the institution programs are recognized and aligned with national standards. As far as the rapid increase of the nursing institution is concerned, there should be some loopholes in these responsible authorities, which must be fixed as soon as possible. There is a failure of health workforce planning. We are training more nurses than we can employ without a coordinated national strategy. We have an oversupply of graduates who are qualified, sometimes even overqualified, yet are sitting at home, unemployed. Meanwhile, we have professionals from other countries that are being employed in our healthcare facilities. Honorable Speaker, this House must act. I therefore recommend the following: a national health workforce strategy aligned to the real needs of our health system and labor market realities. Application of stricter pre-approval processes. No institution should be allowed to enroll students until it has full accreditation. Every institution's accreditation status, approved programs, expiration dates must be easily accessible, especially for those that have started the application process that are still not approved. Allow verification by students, employers, and the public. It's of paramount importance that the public needs to have access to this knowledge. The relevant authorities to conduct random spot audits, including surprise class visits and facility checks. Lastly, Anonymous reporting mechanism should be created for students to flag any suspicious practices. Honorable Deputy Speaker, our health professionals are not just workers. They are caregivers. They are frontline defenders of life. They deserve institutions that will train them with dignity, systems that will protect their rights, and a government that values their contribution. These institutions should be locked down as they are committing criminal offenses by misleading the nation. So I submit.
Thank you. Now I recognize Honorable Cooper.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members, I rise to lend my full support to the motion raised regarding the unchecked growth of nursing schools and health training centers in Namibia. From my own observation and engagements, this issue is having serious consequences for the quality of healthcare and the integrity of the nursing profession in our country. The rapid increase in the number of these institutions has led to a range of challenges that we can no longer ignore. Firstly, the profession of nursing is being undermined and devalued because the standards that once defined this respected field are being eroded as more and more training centers focus on enrolling large numbers of students, sometimes prioritizing profit over quality. This trend is degrading the image and value of nursing in our society. Secondly, our health facilities are becoming overcrowded with students during the practical placements, mostly sitting around or roaming around the facility due to not having responsibilities, as there are often more students in some wards than patients or vice versa. The wards are often filled beyond capacity, making it difficult for students to receive the hands-on training and supervision they require. This also places a heavy burden on the few professional nurses and staff who are expected to mentor and oversee this large group, leaving them overwhelmed and unable to provide adequate guidance. Furthermore, the market is now saturated with more graduates than the healthcare sector can realistically employ. This oversupply not only leads to high unemployment amongst nursing graduates, but also diminishes the morale of those entering the profession. We see a situation where there are simply not enough job opportunities for the number of nurses being trained. Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members, another concern is the quality of graduates. With professionals stretched thin and unable to provide proper supervision, many students are completing their training without acquiring the necessary skills and experience. Some institutions even admit students who do not meet the required criteria. There are reports of some schools guaranteeing passes to attract more enrollments. This approach is deeply troubling, as it results in graduates who are not adequately prepared for the demands of the healthcare environment. When these underprepared graduates are deployed into the workforce, it puts patients at risk and exposes the ministry to potential legal action due to mistakes or negligence. We are reading about that in the newspapers constantly. The consequences of this are far-reaching, affecting not only the individuals involved, but also public trust in our healthcare system. Additionally, the practice of admitting more than 50 students per intake yearly must be strengthened as the directive from Health Professionals Council. If not, it puts immense pressure on both training institutions and health facilities, further compromising the quality of education. In light of these issues, I strongly support the call for closer scrutiny and regulation of nursing schools and health training centers. We must ensure that only those institutions that meet strict standards are allowed to operate, and that the focus returns to producing competent, compassionate, and well-prepared health professionals. As I conclude, Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members, the health of our nation depends on the quality of our nurses and other healthcare professionals. We owe it to our students, our healthcare workers, and the Namibian people to address this issue with urgency and determination. I so submit.
Thank you. I recognize Honorable Lizazi.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I stand to support the motion. As an educator, we know, we understand when you are teaching learners in a class, you need to, they need to meet the basic competencies in order for them to be able to make an evaluation of a matter given to them or to solve a problem. I'm looking at the requirements that are very low when admitting the student nurses. The student nurses are going to work with the people. The student nurses are going to work on matters of life and death. So we are allowing ourselves to be experiments of these young people. Nursing is a noble cause, it's a noble calling, whereby everybody is running towards because they see that it's still the area that is still open, where they can get employed faster. So when you have a lot of institutions which are not regulated, we are going to have quantity rather than quality in our country, in the nursing profession. That's why you see that they finish their course. When they come to write a test, they are failing and they are demonstrating. It's because they did not meet the basic requirements into that course. And we will sit down with a high number of unemployed nurses. And it's going to bring a predicament also and pressure on government that we have got a lot of nurses that are unemployed. According to the statistics of 2018 only, we see that there were already more than 500 nurses that were unemployed. Now, from 2018 to now, we might be ranging somewhere in 1,000 or so. So it's pressure on government. Now, the requirements of these institutions that are lowered, really we need to look into this matter. We need to make sure the bodies are coming back to the laws are there. Some of the laws, then the Council on Higher Education is there. NQA is also there. They need to work. They have the mandate. They need to regulate these registration of institutions. I agree with Honorable Brinkman by saying we should not allow them to continue educating student nurses before they are registered and before they are recognized. Because they start registering, admitting students, and they continue with their programs, and they tell the students that we are going to get our certification. We don't know, maybe there are some people who are working with them behind closed doors because today they are not registered, the next day they are registered. You wonder how did they do it faster that they get these recognitions immediately without even passing the standards required in the Ministry of Health and Social Services. So we really need to work on this one so that we have really quality nurses that are going to help us in hospitals, and the rural area people will benefit with this if this is happening. We need the nursing council also to put their foot down and use the regulations that are given to them to see to it that the number of students that are allowed per year is followed. You can't take 200 if you are told to take 50 per cycle. So let them train the 50, finish the 50, and then take another cycle. Thank you.
Thank you. I now recognize Honorable Steenkamp.
Thank you very much. Deputy Speaker, honorable members, I rise to acknowledge and support the motion on the uncontrolled proliferation of nursing schools and health training centers tabled by Honorable Winnie Mungu. The concerns raised are of great national importance, and I commend the urgency with which this matter has been brought before us already in June, and regrettably we only get to discuss it now. Honorable Deputy Speaker, for many years, nurse training in Namibia was limited to the National Health Training Center under the Ministry of Health and Social Services and the University of Namibia. But to meet the growing demand for nurses, Act 8 of 2004 opened the way for additional training institutions, provided that they complied with strict professional standards and received approval from the Nursing Council. What began thus as a noble effort to address shortages has now grown into a cause for concern due to the rapid proliferation of training centers. Honorable members, allow me to outline the mechanisms currently in place in this regard. First, the Health Professional Councils of Namibia, through the Nursing Council, must approve all nursing curricula and training facilities. That we know. Only then may the Namibia Qualifications Authority register such qualifications on the National Qualifications Framework. By June 16, already 9 nursing institutions were fully accredited, while 3 were still under review. Second, the quality assurance is strictly enforced, and institutions must employ qualified lecturers and clinical instructors with credentials at least one level higher than the qualification that they teach. Clinical trainers must also be registered with the Nursing Council, while subject matter experts are engaged to assess both the curriculum and the institution's capacity before accreditation is granted. Third, the NQA has intensified public awareness, knowing that accredited institutions are also published annually and that information is shared at expos and through media campaigns, and citizens, as we do right now, are encouraged to report suspicious or uncredited training providers. Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members, despite these frameworks, we acknowledge that significant challenges do persist, and the NQA's limited resources also restrict its nationwide oversight. More critically, clinical training capacity remains inadequate, resulting in situations where students lack proper supervision, and even instances of forged logbooks have been reported. This undermines not only the integrity of the profession, but also the patient safety, as it was said by former speakers, as well as the fundamental right of Namibians to quality health care. Honourable Speaker, this motion calls for urgent action, and I support the recommendation that there should be a task force to fully investigate the extent of this proliferation. Moreover, I believe our response must be holistic, as it was said, and regulatory bodies such as the NQA, the NCHE, the Health Profession Council of Namibia, and the Ministry of Health and Social Services, we should be working hand in hand to really strengthen oversight
and also improve the clinical training mechanisms and ensure that only institutions with adequate capacity are allowed to operate. And we must be courageous enough to admit that our system is overstretched. And if we cannot guarantee proper training and mentorship, we must say so clearly and set firm limits. The patient safety, the professional integrity, and the public trust are too important to compromise. In conclusion, Honourable Deputy Speaker, honourable members, I acknowledge and we do accept this motion, and I do request that we work together to safeguard the quality of our health training system and protect the rights of our people, while ensuring that every graduate is fully competent to serve Namibia. I so thank you.
Thank you. Honourable Kapoki.
Thank you, Comrade Deputy Speaker. Was I told the word comrade is now banned, or what is it now? Oh, it was not, eh? Oh, okay.
In support of Cuba.
I support Cuba.
Yes.
Unconditionally.
Yes.
The sanction must go.
Yes.
So, Comrade Deputy Speaker, we are discussing the issue of, this is a matter of do or die, this issue of nursing schools. You see, these are not schools, these are business ventures. And that is a problem. So, we need to scrutinize these schools, to look at their asking fees, because that is what is attracting these people. They come here and they put up these schools, and they eventually put up universities. So it is not something that we can just look at as it is business. Now, people who go to these schools are those who are desperate. Some of them could not be admitted. The admission criteria are also probably relaxed. You are told it's more or less universal, but it's not true. And that's a problem. And I agree with all other educationalists who said this is a very serious matter. Doctors, you find them trained in this place and this place and this place. You find, my child is here, my child is there. But you know the child is not graduating. And then the child comes, it is, now it's a doctor. Subject to tests here, there was a time that there was a serious problem here of these doctors who came from this place and that place. These doctors couldn't be enrolled because they had to go to school, they have to go to classes again. But the parents of these children, of these youngsters, spend so much money. We sponsor this, my child is here, they cannot register because of this. So I think we should also look at when it is being looked at, we must look at the asking fees, admission fees. What is it? So the fees should never be more than those of UNAM or other institutions of state. It should not, I know it's capitalist system, that what we want is to make sure that this is not a money-making venture. It should indeed be training. You know about this medical doctors, mushrooming of doctors here. It's because what is attracting them is our medical aid. It's money. It's not because of love of people that they like us, so they train us to become good nurses and doctors. They are happy because the bank accounts are overflowing. So they have to be controlled. The plight of these youngsters, when they have not made it to enroll at UNAM, frustrates them. So they have to go to makeshift schools. Okay, my colleague here was talking about proper registration, proper regulation, proper... Those things do not work. The people have different ways of skinning the cat. So we cannot be taken for granted that all is well. It is not well. And then it's also true. When you train them to go away. Now they are trained and they are dropped at the gate, at the doors of the government. Minister of Education, Minister of this one. But who said we are looking for them? So that's a problem. And I really support this unequivocally, and it must be dealt with. Thank you.
Honorable April.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I definitely are also in full support of the sentiment that this motion is addressing. However, I want us to look at it from the angle I think should also be considered. And that is, what is the problematic of this problem? It's the struggling parents with struggling kids, children, that cannot get it right somewhere else to send their kids to an institution which they believe can create and provide a possibility of a window of hope that send kids to those institutions. And the problem here is most of them, the parents and the kids, do not possess of the knowledge to know that an institution is not correctly or appropriately registered. They go there because they see that their kids are going to get an opportunity to become somebody in life. Now, all of us know that any institution, and these private training institutions operate like businesses, only thrive where there is a need. And the need is those who could not make it in school to matric in order to obtain the required qualifications or criteria to go to the institutions that are duly recognized are the ones that ventured into going to attend for qualifications to those institutions. Therefore, my take is, it is about time that the government starts to do its job. And it is the government's job to empower and to capacitate people in this country and the people of this nation. And therefore, my take is, those students do not go there because they want to. They go there because that's the only possibility that they see they can attend to. And that's on that premise that I want to say, let's get a breaching course at least at the university or wherever the training institutions are, so that those who do not, and it's a general practice at any university and elsewhere, so that students who have probably 20 and below get to do 6 years breaching, whatever it is, in order to get to a properly recognized institution to obtain those qualifications that they so need to have. And it is in that respect, therefore, that I want to impress upon the important and responsible institutions such as health and education to help us help the struggling masses of this nation. And that is those ones who could not make it in Madrid but still needs to become somebody for this nation and this country. I would like to continue to say that economically, most of us, if not all of us sitting here, cannot subscribe to the segment of the people that are struggling. And therefore, I've seen and heard us contributing from a more professional level of efficiency and effective regulations, forgetting that those of us who are coming from that particular place where the struggling people are. And one of those contributors from that side of the aisle was supported by me to attend to that institution, and I know how the cry was. And that is based on socio-economic realities. And I want us to, as we speak, also consider those realities, because they are the determining factors for our people to take these kids to those institutions that seem to be like just making money in this country. And on that basis, therefore, I support the motion, but I want the government to start to do the job, not just regulations, but to capacity build our young ones to try to participate by attending institutions where they will be recognized after that little money, that meager funds were invested for them to become somebody, not just for their families, but for this nation. So I submit my speaker, my deputy speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Kutie. Honorable Kutie. Honorable Kutie, he's done, so unless you want to take the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members.
Huh? You are citing which rule? This point of privilege. Give me the rule that gives you that one. No, I'm saying, give me the rule. You are saying point of privilege, isn't it? Point of order may be, now I'm saying let a person continue and then you can come in. So now, let us just understand each other. If it's point of privilege, give me the enforcement that comes from the book. If it's point of order, I think the point of order, I think it's Rule 92. Okay. 92 has got its own provisions, under 4 conditions, when a point of order may be raised when any of these rules is alleged to have been infringed, as soon as an irregularity occurs in the customary proceedings of the House, to give an explanation in terms of Standing Rule 86, or to seek clarity on a procedural matter. That is under point of order. 86 must say the presiding member may, not shall, grant permission to a member to explain matters of personal nature without debate or question being put, provided that that member is confined strictly to the vindication of his or her own conduct. A personal explanation may not exceed 5 minutes. Now, if you say a personal matter, which I am not aware of, it becomes difficult. And therefore, that's why I'm saying I give the floor to Honorable Kutie. If there is anything, any member can just take the floor. Honorable Kutie.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Job. Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members, I rise in support the motion to critically examine the mass rooming of health training institutions in Namibia. At first glance, the rapid growth of such institutions may appear to be a step towards addressing our shortage of health workers, but let us look deeper. Firstly, Honorable Deputy Speaker, quality is being compromised. Many of these new institutions lack proper infrastructure and qualified lecturers. How can we expect to produce competent doctors, nurses, and health workers if their training grounds are under-equipped? When standards fail, it is not only the students who suffer, but the patients whose lives will one day be in their hands. Secondly, regulations is lagging behind growth. While the Ministry of Health and the Health Profession Council strive to enforce standards, the rate of new institutions opening often outpaces their oversight capacity. This creates loopholes where some institutions operate without proper accreditation. Thirdly, students are being exploited. Families sacrifice their savings to send children to colleges and sometimes charge high fees but deliver with very little in terms of quality. Upon graduation, many found themselves unemployed because their qualifications are not recognized. Finally, Honorable Deputy Speaker, our healthcare system is at risk. If we allow poorly trained graduates to flood our hospitals and clinics, we will be endangering the lives rather than saving them. A weak foundation in training means a weak health system for the nation.
Mushrooming without regulation is like planting weeds in a garden. They grow fast, but they choke the healthy plants. We must not make mistakes. We must not mistake quantity for quality. Let us strengthen regulations, close down unqualified institutions, and invest in those meet national and international standards. I so submit.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Comrade Deputy Speaker, and thank you also for the motion by a professional, is it registered nurse? Yeah, that one. So the mover is someone very knowledgeable about the subject, so commendably so, and I also want to add my voice to other honorable members. But in so doing, we also know it is a historic conversation, but there is also a historic conversation in New York, where Her Excellency is speaking, and speaking on the solidarity with Cuba is a passing. The sanctions must fall. Their health system is one of the best in the world. And Honorable Deputy Speaker, many of them are here. Recently, when I visited Katimamuliro State Hospital, I found them there. So therefore, in saluting them today, as our President is doing, it is a solidarity of many, many years, including some of their blood waters our freedom. Honorable Deputy Speaker, it has been said that the mistakes of lawyers is often found in jail, and the mistakes of the one that drives without a license could also be death, because to operate a car you must have a license. And a mistake of doctors and maybe nurses that are not adequately well trained would be found in the cemetery. So therefore, this motion speaks to us ensuring that those that we are training are afforded the opportunity to be able to learn and to qualify in the profession that they are. When I was at UNAM, I recall every time that it is about graduation, there is an oath or a code that they must swear. Yeah, that one. So therefore, as others have said, we must, as government, ensure that we regulate where we must, so that these young people are not caught up in the quagmire of institutions that are not registered. Now, but I must make this point, Honorable Deputy Speaker. The profession, and if you go in the hospitals, there are many young people who are doing interns coming from various nursing institutions, and they are making a profound contribution. So therefore, what we are saying is not a blanket statement of condemnation where good is being performed, but we are saying those that are not registered must be reined in. And therefore, we call on the line ministry to work with you in terms of this motion. And I believe that the capacity exists now in a free and independent Namibia, so that we can have many young people trained in nursing, many young people that will be able to ensure in all corners of our republic that they can render service that is, as the President has said, come 2026, all politicians and public servants, we will use state hospitals. So we can only do that if we have requisite capacity at all hospitals, clinics, intermediate hospitals, everywhere. So your motion, Honorable Member, is timely, and I therefore support it unreservedly and would like to see it reaching the destination that it must. So thank you. I so support.
I recognize Honorable Ingari. Please, let us follow the rules. I'm not sleeping.
Deputy Speaker, I don't know why you are picking on me today.
No, it's not picking. You see, when I'm presiding, I'm taking note of how the lights are coming, and then you switch off and you see, we know those tricks. Okay.
It's not a trick, but yes, thank you very much. Yes. Yeah. No, thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I rise to support this very important and timely motion by my fellow Democrat and Honorable Member of the South, Honorable Winnie Mongo. I think a lot has been said. One of the issues I think we have also located in this debate and during this debate, we have located the cause, right? And I know, Deputy Speaker, you like to say that you must prescribe the right medicine for the right condition. And I think that young people, because young people want to be trained and they want to gain a skill in the health sector, those who run businesses find this as an opportunity. So, I mean, even in entrepreneurship, basic entrepreneurship, they always tell you, you must find a market to base your entrepreneurship or your entrepreneurial idea on. And so if we can find a way to address the need, I don't think we'll have a lot of these institutions popping up or mushrooming. And one of the ideas, in 2023, we were in Hanoi, Vietnam, with a couple of colleagues from the 7th Parliament. And one of the things that the Asians have done very well is that they have actually created a system where public hospitals also, say for example, they have a system where the military, for example, has established a health institution that provides services, health services to soldiers and those, of course, employed by the force. But there's also a section of it that also provides training to, whether it's young people or young graduates or even those who are not specifically graduates from a university, just with a basic skill to actually provide or offer some sort of service. So I agree that yes, the private sector has a role to play in creating jobs, but I think let's find avenues where we can also, say for instance, we have some sort of hospital or health institution attached to the military, or say a military hospital, for example, that can also then speak to absorbing young people, either who are trained formally or a section of it that would then provide basic skills to help these young people be absorbed into the system. I think the biggest problem that we have is that every year young people graduate from secondary school into institutions of higher learning, and if they don't go to institutions of higher learning, they opt for these institutions that aren't accredited or aren't even authorized to operate at a certain level. So I think if we can find avenues where we say at this level we are going to absorb as many young people, we're going to attach to our military, for example, military services, we're going to attach a health facility or an institution that offers those basic skills, at least I think it would help in absorbing the number of young people who are desperate to get some sort of training and some sort of education to really be able to contribute. I don't think any country would ever complain about having too many nurses. I don't believe in that. I think what we need to do is to find ways and an approach, a multidimensional approach where we can absorb these young people so they're not on the streets or they don't fall into the traps because of desperation and end up spending 4 years or 6 years in an institution that promised to only have them for 2 years to get a qualification that is recognized by an employer. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. That is my submission, and I fully and unreservedly support this very important motion.
Thank you, Honorable Amupanda.
Yeah, thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. I actually found it is 83D. But the point I was trying to make, the rule, 83D. The point I was trying to make is this, and the Deputy Prime Minister had been quite very helpful when we came here as new members. He was telling us that at a certain point, you will get the printing of everything else that you have said and you have to sign next to it. The question that, the concern that I actually have is that I'm wondering, because the idea of referring a motion to a committee is for a committee to do probably two things on top of my head, is to further the discussion and to dig deeper into the issues. I'm just wondering that when we eventually go there, I wonder whether, because I've always been asking this question about our record, our taking of minutes. So when we go there to the committee, be it on the economy, be it on health, are we going to receive the contributions? To say, as I'm now a member of the committee, is the motion only going to be tabled to say, committee received the motion? Or you are going to say, Honorable Katamero, this is a summary of his contribution? Because these are rich contributions that members are making. And when you just analyze and study as an outsider, you actually see a motion is tabled, is motivated, members make different contribution, it goes to the committee, and the committee takes a 360-degree conversation. What then happened to valuable contributions that have been made here? In case there's no framework or system that deals with that, we need to find a way how we could, even in a summary format, just capture those discussions, because the committee is not there to do its own work. Well, it's got to go and it's furthering the conversation of the committee. What would then happen to a rich conversation that we had yesterday? Valuable contribution that have been made yesterday, the contribution that have been made today, and you later receive this report of the committee on this motion. You only receive it because it's absolutely possible for your motion to be referred to a committee that you're not a member of. I think that's what Honorable Hengari was confirming. At that stage, what recourse do you have and what do we do? But in conclusion, Deputy Speaker, I'm saying if there's no framework, I'm proposing that somewhere, somehow, the contribution of members must be recorded in a summary format so that when the motion is then referred to the committee, you as a member just receive, okay, this is what came in as a motion, this is a motivation of the member, Honorable Amtenya, this is what he says. So you are also able to study and analyze and say, when we even go out and do consultation and do discussion and engage with different people, you are also alive to what members have contributed. Or else, it typically become that's why some of these people are actually, we are having our report being set aside by people who are writing out of court settlement, whatever that thing means. So it is important, and I hope Secretariat, we don't have to answer now. Deputy Speaker, I'm sure you can guide them if it's not there. I'm assuming, I have not seen it. I sit in those committees and I presented to parliamentary committee even as an activist. I have not seen something of that sort. If it's there, then wonderful. I mean, it's not there, then we should also be able, because I'm also interested as a member of a committee to hear, to see, but there was a contribution Honorable Matundu was making, very profound contribution. How do we look at that aspect as we go forward? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will answer just before knockoff. I will deal with that one. Honorable Dingara.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. In support of this motion, since it is about health issue, I also simultaneously support Cuba, who have sent a lot of doctors to Namibia.
Why is the motion about Cuba?
So Cuba have sent a lot of doctors to Namibia. So we support them, and so the sanction against Cuba must fall. So now I support this motion because I remember
Order, honorable members.
So, the mover of the motion
Did not mention Cuba.
So,
Just continue.
now, Honorable Deputy Speaker, just protect me so that I can proceed.
Order, just speak, honorable member.
Yes, so I support this, the mover of this motion and the mover together. Because I can remember the late Mongo, the father to the mover, used to move also very, very important motions here. And I commend you following your father's steps. So now when I think about this motion, I'm trying to say that why most of the schools are about nursing. Why? Why all of a sudden? Because it was also here where it was debated when we were training only teachers. And then things changed. Now, all of a sudden, now nurses are becoming, the training for nurses are now all over the country. What I've realized when I went to some of this training facility is because the majority of our nurses, the professional nurses, have retired. And the call from the state to make a contribution to our country. As a professional nurse, when you retire, you can think of training others also so that they can do what you used to do. Because if you are old now, you can only train, you cannot go to work now because, and I think this is one of the causes. I think for us to change the scenario, what must we do as a nation so that people can have options? Because I think one thing is we must thank these people to have overwhelmingly responded to the call of the government to respond. So that, I think that is very, very important.
And I support.
So, yeah, now, with that few words, I support the motion.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
No.
Now, I will now put, does Honorable Mongo wish to reply?
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I would like to thank each and every member of this House for contributing, but most importantly for supporting this very important motion. I have no doubt that the Youthful Committee on Education will do an excellent job to restore the dignity of this profession. I so submit.
Thank you very much. I now put the question that the motion be referred to the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Education for further investigation and report back to the Assembly. Any objections? Agreed to? Okay. The Secretary will read the third order of the day.
Resumption of debate to reduce the voting age from 18 to 16 years.
Yeah, when the Assembly was in discussion on this matter on the 1st of July, the question before the Assembly was a motion by Honorable Kalola that the motion be referred to a Parliamentary Standing Committee for further investigation and report back to the Assembly. However, Honorable Haikola adjourned the debate and now she has the floor.
I stand to contribute to the motion to reduce the voting age to 16, tabled by Honorable Tuafeni Kalola, my brother. I'll be highlighting the willingness and readiness of 16-year-olds to participate in voting of their leaders, the people who will be making important decisions regarding their futures. The Namibian newspaper online version, dated 14 September 2025, titled, "Teenagers across the country have expressed their readiness to vote, should their permissible age lower to 16?" So one of the learners interviewed stated that at this age, I quote, "At this age, young people are already exposed to politics, current affairs, and the daily issues that affect them, such as unemployment and social challenges, and they believe that they are mature enough to form opinions." He further stated that giving us right to vote would encourage greater participation in our democracy. That's what he said. So another learner from Lutheran Secondary School says, I quote, 16-year-olds can develop their own thoughts and opinions, have critical thinking skills, and therefore are capable of voting. I close the quote. Some learners point out that young people make up a large proportion of Namibia's population. The youth are a majority in many aspects, and thus deserves a stronger voice in shaping the future. This testimony shows that among young people, there is both awareness of what voting implies, the policies, parties, leaderships, and a desire for inclusion in deciding those things. Namibia's population is heavily skewed toward younger age groups. The 2023 population and housing census shows that 71.1% of Namibians are under the age of 35. Thus, a substantial share of our society is young, and those who are 16 to 17 are part of that share. It follows that they should have representation in the electoral decision-making. Young people are already contributing in many ways to their families, to their communities, some through employment, formal or informal, some by taking on responsibilities at home. They are affected by public policies in education, health, youth services, job creation. It is so unfortunate that they do not have a say in the selection of leaders and in policy direction, etc. Some 16-year-olds do point out potential challenges. Not all youth are equally exposed to politics or know what all parties stand for. The suggestion is that lowering the voting age should go hand in hand with stronger civic and political education, particularly in schools, so that when youth do vote, they are informed, aware of their choices and consequences. Also, young respondents urge that the process not simply drop them into voting without prior education on how parliament works, on policy debates, on the role of elected representatives. This is an important caveat that this legislature must be prepared to address. Giving 16-year-olds the vote promises to increase democratic inclusivity. It signals that our democracy values the voices and interests of the young, not just in rhetoric, but in law. Early engagement tends to build lifelong habits of participation. Those who start voting or feel their voices count are likely to keep voting, to hold leaders accountable, and to engage with their civic duties. It could also help reduce alienation and skepticism among youth who feels policies affecting them are made without their input. When people are affected by decisions, especially at a young age, transparency and participation help strengthen trust and legitimacy. To ensure that if we lower the voting age to 16, we do so in a way that maximizes benefit and minimizes risk, I submit that we roll out national civic education in school and community centers well in advance of their first election in which 16-year-olds can vote. The rollout of civil education in schools and community centers must likewise be accompanied by a clear legal framework clarifying responsibility, rights of voters, including offenses of misinformation. In addition to the above-mentioned measures, a pilot phase or a phased implementation, starting local election or specific election, so we can study, update challenges and adjust accordingly, should be launched. If the voices of 16-year-olds themselves make it clear that they are ready, willing, and deserving of the vote, who are we to deny them right to participate in the democratic process upon which our Constitution was founded? The 16-year-olds understand the consequences, they want a voice, and they are aware of the issues that affect them. We as legislators should not shy away from expanding democratic inclusion where it is both feasible and fair. Let us trust our youth, equip them, and extend to them the right to vote at the age of 16. Thank you, and I so submit.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker, honourable members. I rise to lend my voice to the debate on the reduction of the voting age. Honourable Deputy Speaker, honourable members, the Constitution of the Republic of Namibia deliberately sets the voting age at age 18, reflecting the drafters' understanding of both international law as well as biology. Under international law, persons under the age are regarded as children needing special protection of the state, not as full political actors. Lowering the voting age to 16 would conflict with this position and even create odd contradictions in that if the amendment is made, such 16-year-olds would be able to vote but could still not run for office because the eligibility for candidacy remains at age 18 or higher. In Namibia, as is elsewhere, it is widely recognized that at the age of 18, it marks adulthood and capacity. This is primarily backed by scientific research that indicates that although 16-year-olds can reason logically, much like adults, their overall decision-making maturity is not equivalent to older youths and adults. Studies have found that by the age of 16, cognitive capacity reaches adult levels, but psychosocial maturity, which includes impulse control, long-term planning, resistance to peer influence, only catches up after the age of 18. These studies are available at the National Library of Medicine, a globally recognized center for scientific research. The study is also confirmed by neuroscientific consensus, which suggests that the frontal lobes, which are critical for judgment and impulse control, are not fully developed at the age of 16. In practical terms, even if a 16-year-old is thoughtful, they are still more prone to risk-taking and short-term thinking rather than an 18-year-old or 20-year-old. These developmental limits suggest that a younger teen may not consistently exercise their deliberative judgment expected in national elections. In addition to this, Honourable Deputy Speaker, honourable members, reducing the voting age to 16 would immediately enroll a large cohort of children who are still in school, many of them who only just completed their junior secondary education and lack the civic habit or confidence to vote in national elections. If they are expected to vote, it would also mean that schools risk becoming heavily politicized by political parties seeking to gain these young and inexperienced voters to vote for them. Such a situation would undoubtedly undermine children's constitutional right to education. Therefore, instead of reducing this voting age, a much more constructive approach would be to increase investments in youth civic education to better prepare first-time voters for the polling stations. Strengthening these foundations before expanding the electorate to 16-year-old makes more developmental sense. This is particularly true because despite young people above the age of 18 being increasingly active in activism, data shows that Namibian youth continue to vote at a significantly lower rate than older citizens. In my opinion, Honourable Deputy Speaker, honourable members of Parliament, we must look at how we can increase formal political engagement within the current electorate before we even consider expanding the electorate. With that said, Honourable Deputy Speaker, honourable members, I urge this House to reject the motion by reducing the voting age of 18 to 16, and I request that it not even be considered to go to a standing committee. I so submit.
Thank you. I now recognize Honorable Amutenya.
Now, Honorable Deputy Speaker, I rise today to firmly oppose the motion that proposes reducing the voting age from 18 to 16. While the intention behind this motion may appear progressive, we must remain realistic and responsible in our approach to democratic participation. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I must emphasize that voting is not simply a right, neither a symbolic gesture. It is a serious civic responsibility that requires a solid understanding of politics, economics, law, and society. At the age of 16, most teenagers are still in school, living under parental authority and in many cases lack the independence needed to make a fully informed and unbiased political decisions. Furthermore, scientific research shows that the adolescent brain is still developing, as it was indicated by Honorable Bush, particularly the areas responsible for long-term planning, impulse control, and critical evaluation. These are essential qualities in a voter. We are not saying young people's voices do not matter. They do. But rather, we must not rush to change the law. Let us focus on better civic education in schools. Let them be prepared before they are empowered. Honorable Deputy Speaker, let us be clear that Namibia has a large eligible adult population, millions of citizens over the age of 18 who are legally, who are socially and mentally equipped to vote. Political parties may obviously have more than enough people to campaign to. They have enough people to lobby for support and to influence through their manifestos.
Now you speak.
There is no urgent democratic shortfall that justifies dragging children into the political arena. Honorable Deputy Speaker, allow me to call the attention of this House to Chapter 3, Article 17 of the Namibian Constitution, and I want to read that one shortly. Chapter 3 speaks, Chapter 3, Article 17, on political activities, and let me just be specific to sub-Article 2. Every citizen who has reached the age of 18 years shall have the right to vote, and who has reached the age of 21 shall be elected, or 21 years to be elected to public offices, unless otherwise provided herein. Honorable Deputy Speaker, allow me as well to read the second sub-Article 3. The rights guaranteed by sub-Article 2 hereof may only be abrogated, suspended, or be impeached upon the Parliament in respect of specified categories of persons on such grounds of infirmity or on such grounds of public interest or morality as are necessary in a democratic society. However, Honorable Deputy Speaker, when we go to Chapter 19, Amendment of the Constitution, that is Article 131, entrenchment of fundamental rights and freedom, it speaks and it says, no repeal or amendment of any of the provisions of Chapter 3 hereof, insofar as such repeal or amendment diminishes or detracts from the fundamental rights and freedoms contained and defined in that chapter, shall be permissible under this Constitution, and no such purported repeal or amendment shall be valid or have any force or effect. That I want to say, Honorable Deputy Speaker, I still believe that repealing or amending Article 17.2 does not protect children from political manipulation, but seriously detracts from the fundamental rights and freedom of children under Article 17 of the Namibian Constitution. In conclusion, Honorable Deputy Speaker, let us protect the integrity of our democracy and the well-being of youth by maintaining the voting age at 18. Let our children learn, let our children grow and prepare so that when they do vote, they do so with full awareness and responsibility. I respectfully urge this August House to reject this motion. I so submit, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. I now recognize Honorable Navasis. Honorable, hello, please. Tolerance. Honorable Diana.
Tolerance and respect. Can I start, Deputy Speaker?
Yes, you have the floor.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Hello,
Thank
the chief
you,
whip is
honorable
there.
members.
Hello, please.
No disturbance.
Hello.
Doctor, please stop my time. I'm being disturbed.
Okay.
Yeah.
It should start over.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members, I wish to also equally to add my humble voice to this debate that is under consideration from my Honorable Haikola. Internationally, many countries open up discussions and debates to make constitutional provisions to reduce and allow citizens to vote at age 16. And this was sometimes proposed with conditions such as being employed or married. For example, the United Kingdom has successfully managed to lower the voting age to 16 this year in July for the whole of their country. Also, some studies done in order to measure the civic knowledge, political skills, political efficacy, and tolerance on 16 years old have indicated and obtained scores similar to those of adults, indicating that adolescents at this age range are developmentally ready to vote. That is now what I'm quoting from the research done. However, while recognizing the right to vote as a fundamental one in a democratic country, the Namibia Constitution is very clear. And I don't want to go there because my brother Amutenya has eloquently covered that Article 70, sub-Article 2. In the interest of time, I will proceed. Article 70, sub-Article 3 provides that these rights can only be restricted by Parliament, and I quote, in respect of specified categories of persons on such grounds of infirmity or on such grounds of public interest or mortality as are necessary in a democratic society, end of quote. Therefore, I believe that many of us in this August House understands the importance that democracy must also work for everybody, or everyone, including our young people. And that may also means fighting to grant 16 years, as proposed by my brother, the right to vote. Studies in this regard shows that voting yearly builds a lifelong habit of civic engagement. Thus, by lowering to voting age, decision makers can build trust and form meaningful connections with younger people. Young people are said to have unique perspectives and experiences that are valuable and integral to our society. Honorable Deputy Speaker, having given that short narration, I actually don't support lowering the voting age to 16 in Namibia because the current voting age of 18 is reasonable, because it aligns with other legal thresholds in Namibia. For us as politicians, it may seem like a progressive step that will benefit us to be elected into power. But I strongly believe at the age of 16, these individuals are still not capable of understanding the nature and consequences of their actions. Also, the other aspect is that they can also be held legally accountable for criminal acts if the House have to consider constitutional provisions to reduce legal age. We must be very cognizant of this very important part of our constitutional provisions. Having said that, Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, I strongly believe that at age 16, the minors do not have enough political knowledge to have a say in issues that affect the entire nation. Again, I will say that many teenagers, as we have observed in our own households, are extremely naive and don't have proper understanding as to how politics actually works. Therefore, as we are debating, interrogating this matter, let us also put question on whether the particular age group has the knowledge and experience, as well as whether they are ready to face issues in the eyes of the law or justice for that matter. As I'm concluding, Deputy Speaker, I strongly believe that 16-year-olds are not mature enough to participate responsibly in elections, in that they lack life experience. I object to this motion and I so submit, Deputy Speaker.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that brings us closer. I want to deal with the issue I said I will deal with, the point of privilege of Honorable Amupanda. Now, all proceedings that are taking place here are recorded pepatu, which we call the Hansard. It is within the fullest right of any committee, if it wants to enrich itself of what was the preemptive discussions during that debate, to go back to the Hansard. And I just did not see it. Maybe it's because I go. Normally what the Hansard does is it records verbatim. After sometimes it gives to each and every member's table. It is your responsibility to edit whether the correct summation that is contained there is done. In your absence, whatever is put on your table after some time, it's then put in to the Hansard and then reflects as a direct reflection of the proceedings of the House. Now it seems small, but you remember some of us speak like Honorable Narusep, 8 and 8, so sometimes the note does not come out the way it should be, the pronunciation. So I'm just giving a reference. So the capturing of the person might error. So that note that is omitted might change the entire statement that is contained in that. Therefore, I'm saying the onus is not on the member. That's why they will first put it on the table. It is for the member to correct and then go back and then give the correct summutation. If there is a dispute, all these matters are being taped. So I think with that I have dealt with. Honorable George, I said I will answer. Did you read 119? No longer to read, ne? Badangi. Okay, PM. Come again? Yeah. Now. Yeah, okay. Sorry. Thank you very much, Honorable DPM. No, the light was on Honorable Abram. You therefore just postpone this debate to to next week, Tuesday, so that the debate can start with you. And we are recording now, ne? All those who participated today, please don't come back. Okay.
I stand to propose this discussion until next week, Wednesday.
Thank you very much. Okay. PM, that liberty, you see, that's why the light was on here. I thought you make like this. PM, come. We'll talk offline.
Honorable Deputies.
Honorable
Deputies.
Ampanda, two wrongs can't make right.
No,
PM
he's supporting Cuba. So.
Okay.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members, the House, I move that the House stand adjourn until
tomorrow
2:30.
14:30.
14:30.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I thank you.